What if the relationship you're holding on to right now is already showing you it won't last, and you just don't know how to read the signs yet? Welcome to Hidden Psyche Reader, where we help you understand yourself and the people around you, one honest video at a time. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which early patterns predict a relationship falling apart, and number 9 is the one nobody ever talks about. Sign 1. You feel anxious more than you feel sad. When a relationship is healthy, it should feel like a soft place to land, not a constant question mark. Picture this. You send a message and spend the next 2 hours wondering if you said something wrong. Your stomach is tight. You're not excited, you're nervous all the time. That anxiety isn't love. That's your nervous system telling you something feels unstable. When the brain doesn't feel safe, it goes into alert mode and it stays there. The next sign is something a lot of people mistake for passion, but it's actually a warning. Sign 2. Your arguments always go in circle. If every fight ends without resolution and the same fight keeps coming back, that's not normal conflict. That's a pattern. You argue about the same thing on Monday. You make up. By Friday, you're arguing about it again. Nothing actually got fixed. It just got paused. Recurring arguments usually mean one or both people don't feel truly heard. The brain keeps raising the same issue because it never got a real answer. A relationship that can't solve small problems will collapse under big ones. But here's where it gets deeper. Sign 3 is quiet. You might not even notice it happening. Sign 3, you've started shrinking yourself around them if you're changing your opinions, hiding your interests, or going silent just to avoid their reaction. You're shrinking, and that's serious. Maybe you used to love talking about something, a hobby, a dream, an opinion, and now you just don't bring it up anymore, because it's easier than dealing with how they respond. We shrink ourselves around people who make us feel unsafe being real. It's a protection response. But over time, you stop knowing who you are inside that relationship. And that's a lonely place to be. The next sign feels small on the surface, but psychologically, it's one of the biggest red flags on this list. Sign 4. The good moments feel like relief, not joy. There's a difference between feeling happy with someone and feeling relieved that things are okay for now. Think about it. You have a great day together and your first thought is finally, things feel normal again. Not, I'm so happy, just relief. Like you've been holding your breath and you got to exhale. Relief means the baseline of the relationship is stress. Joy means the baseline is warmth. Your nervous system knows the difference, even if your heart doesn't want to admit it yet. And this next one, sign 5, is the one that creeps in so slowly. Most people don't catch it until it's too late. Sign 5, you've stopped bringing up how you feel. When you stop sharing your feelings, not because you're fine, but because you already know it won't go well, that silence is a sign you felt hurt by something they said. You thought about bringing it up. Then you thought about their reaction, and you decided it wasn't worth it, so you swallowed it. Again, when people stop expressing feelings in a relationship, it's usually because they've learned it's not safe to. That learned silence is the brain protecting itself, but it also means the emotional connection has already started to break. We're halfway through, and sign 6 is one that might hit closer to home than you expect. Sign 6. Your friends and family feel like strangers to them. If the person you're with has no real interest in the people who matter most to you, that's worth paying attention to. Maybe every time you mention your friends, they change the subject. Or family dinners feel awkward because they're just not trying. They're physically there but emotionally somewhere else. Genuine love naturally extends to the people you love. When someone is serious about you, they want to understand your world. Disinterest in your people is often disinterest in the real you. Sign 7 is uncomfortable to hear, but it's one of the most honest signs on this list. Sign 7. You feel lonelier with them than without them. Loneliness inside a relationship is one of the most confusing feelings there is, because you're not alone, but you feel invisible. You're sitting right next to them, and you feel completely unseen. Like you could say something real right now and they wouldn't actually hear it. The brain needs emotional presence, not just physical presence. When we feel consistently unseen by someone who is supposed to know us, the isolation cuts deeper than being actually alone. That kind of loneliness is a signal, not a phase. The next sign is one that usually starts as something small. But watch what it becomes. Sign 8. Small criticism has become the default. When gentle teasing turns into regular put-downs, even ones dressed up as jokes, the dynamic has shifted in a dangerous direction. Maybe they make a comment about how you dressed, or laugh at something you said in front of others. And when you react, they say you're too sensitive. It happens again next week, and the week after. Consistent criticism, even soft criticism, slowly erodes self-worth. The brain starts to internalize those comments as truth. What begins as a joke can quietly reshape how you see yourself over time. Sign 9 is the one I mentioned at the start. Most people have never heard it framed this way. Sign 9. You're more in love with who they could be than who they are. This one is hard to see when you're inside it, but it's one of the most common reasons relationships fall apart. You're not really in love with them. You're in love with the version of them you believe is coming. The one who will eventually communicate better, show up more, be kinder, change. The brain is wired to hold on to potential. Hope feels a lot like love. But a relationship built on who someone might become puts you in a permanent state of waiting. And that's an exhausting place to live. 2 signs left. And sign 10 is one that quietly affects everything. Sign 10. Your values are quietly pulling in different directions. You don't have to agree on everything. But if the things that matter most to you, your beliefs, your future, your boundaries, feel like constant negotiation, that tension doesn't disappear. It grows. Maybe you want stability and they want constant change. Maybe you value honesty above everything and they're comfortable with small lies. You brush past it, but it keeps coming back. Values aren't opinions you can compromise on forever. They're the core of who you are. When 2 people's cores point in different directions, the relationship requires one of them to keep bending. And eventually, one of you breaks. One more sign, and this last one, sign 11, might be the most important thing you hear today. Sign 11. You can't imagine them in your future, but you stay anyway. This is the quiet truth a lot of people carry but never say out loud. When you picture your life 5 years from now, they're not really in it, but leaving feels harder than staying. You try to imagine them there. At a family event, in a home you share, in a version of your life that actually feels right. And something in you hesitates. The brain will often choose familiar discomfort over unfamiliar freedom. Staying isn't always love. Sometimes it's just fear of the unknown. And knowing the difference is one of the most important things you can do for your own future. If you recognized yourself in some of these signs, that doesn't mean your relationship is doomed. And it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It means you're paying attention. And paying attention to how you feel is the first, most important act of self-respect there is. Here's one thing you can do today. Just one. Write down how you actually feel in your relationship. Not how you want to feel. Not how you used to feel. How you feel right now. Honest. No filter. Just for you. That one page might tell you everything you need to know. Comment below which number was you. No judgment here. This is a safe space. And if this video helped you see something more clearly, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next one.